Hey guys, good evening. I'm Danielle.
And I am Amy, and we are Wicked Truths and F Bombs, aka WTAF. It's July 10th, 2020.
Welcome to WTAF Live. If you've never been here before, thanks for joining us tonight. We are going to go ahead and get started. Okay. I just want to do a quick audio check. Can you guys hear us? We got to make sure that.
Looks good.
All right. Tonight, we will be presenting the divorce documents of Charles and Cheryl Vallow. They were exclusively acquired by WTAF. They are important because they shed light on who Charles Vallow was. There's also a continuum into how Lori Daybell chooses people and how she manipulates to get what she desires. Again, there is some sensitive matter within these court documents. However, in order to cover this case, we cannot pick and choose what we will discuss when they're all pertinent to the overall situation at hand. Remember, everything is relevant until it is not, and we know the ending to this story. We are putting the pieces together, working backwards.
We have carefully curated what we want to discuss with you tonight. So we will begin discussing the accusations of Charles Vallow's temper, bipolar disorder, and alcohol abuse as documented in the court documents. We will also be discussing alleged sexual abuse occurring within the Vallow home, as well as conversations with Lori Vallow. Please know that we wholeheartedly agree that Charles Vallow is a victim of murder, and this is not meant to disparage his memory in any way. These documents shed a vast amount of insight into what Colby, Tylee, Nicholas, and Zach went through in the Vallow household while in the care of Lori and Charles. This case is about the minor children. Two of them are now dead. There were years of custody battles, psychological evaluations, court orders, and back and forth between all of the divorced and remarried parents of Tylee and JJ. This information is going to be hard to hear. This information is going to hurt surviving family members. Our intent is to share the truth and pray that by doing so, we shed more light on how Tylee and JJ could have been better protected. If you choose to get angry at the release of these records, please consider who you should be angry at. We are only providing the truth as documented in the court of law. And I do believe that before we get started, Danielle has two short statements that she would like to present.
I do. Sorry, I had to slow the chat. I do have two short statements that I'd like to present. These were just comments that were made today in our Facebook group, and they were comments that were very striking to me. I'm not going to share who posted them. It was just something that I felt was very fair and really just touched my heart, I guess, because this is a hard case to cover. And we are here presenting the facts, and we want people to be understanding that we are just giving you the facts. These aren't things coming out of our mouths. So one of the statements shared today was, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. A similar sentiment is found in the graphic novel My Friend Dahmer, when the author writes, where were all the adults? Because all the warning signs were there, but the adults who had the knowledge and power did nothing. It's powerful. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, because, when you read these documents, you just takes your breath away. It really does. I might not have saved the other one. So if I come across it, I'll share it later. If not, I'll make sure that I do get you or do share it at some point, because it was a good comment. So
I think we're ready to just dig right into it. We're going to start with Cheryl and Charles. Give you just a tiny little snippet of background. They were married for 12 years. They split in 2003, and that's we're going to start talking about documents from their final divorce. Danielle, you want to take that first, or do you want me to do it?
Um, you can do it. You can do it. I
Okay.
want to get some things situated here on my end and make sure that we're streaming okay and everything. So I'll mute my mic while Amy talks.
Okay, so we begin on, let's see, I'm so sorry, my page just flipped. It's real life. So we begin on page 5, and it's basically a table of contents. I am so sorry. I cannot believe this is happening. It's okay. We roll with it. So this is a dated September 20th, 2006. It is filed in the clerk of the district courts regarding Hays County case, or Hays County cause number 2004-1277 in the interest of Tylee Ashlyn Ryan, a child. Dear Mrs. Rodriguez Mendoza, enclosed are the pages listed below in reference to the above mentioned case, which were order transferred to the District Court of Travis County, Texas. Number 1, final decree of divorce, certified copy. 2, motion for enforcement and petition to modify. 3, citation, Lori Noreen Ryan. 4, motion for contempt and enforcement of prior order. 5, citation, Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. 6, citation, Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. 7, motion for change of venue. 8, Rule 11 agreement. 9, order transferring suit affecting the parent-child relationship. 10, docket sheet. And 11, clerk's certificate. And please sign a returning closed copy, letter in our files, a closed addressed envelope. And then we go on to page 6.
Actually, we're going to jump to, I texted you. You probably didn't see it.
No.
We're looking at page 5 in the actual document that we have, in the PDF document that we created.
I knew it was wrong. Thank
no,
you.
It's okay. I didn't want to interrupt you. You guys just got to hear a little bit how
because I looked at this a million times. I'm like, this doesn't seem right, but I'll get to where it is. Okay, I'm on page 5, guys, in the right document.
Yes, and before you start, just so you guys know, page 5 is a written affidavit, but you can see here on the screen, this is the beginning of that affidavit, which is on page 4. It says, my name is Cheryl Catherine Vallow. I am competent to make this affidavit. The facts in this affidavit are within my personal knowledge. So page 5 is the actual affidavit, and Amy's going to read it and let you guys hear what Cheryl had to say.
Oh, dear. Okay. We are no longer able to live together because of my husband's temper, bipolar condition, and his addiction to alcohol. Even when he takes his medication for bipolar condition, the medicine is ineffective because of his continual consumption of alcohol. He has a bad temper and continues to drink. My husband is verbally abusive and loses his temper often. He has threatened to run away with both of our children and never let me see them again. He has moved out of our residence and has not notified me of his address. Recently, the children were arguing over a toy. My husband grabbed a pair of scissors and chased one of my sons through the house trying to get the toy. When my son did not willingly hand over the toy, my husband started throwing things at him. My son got down on the floor in between the 2 bunk beds in his room. My husband jumped on top of the beds with the scissors in his hand and was over my son on the floor. My son was very scared and getting very upset. Then my husband grabbed my son and forcefully pulled him up by the arm off the floor and grabbed the toy. I was in fear that my son would be hurt and that because of my husband's anger, he was endangering our son. It is my feeling that my husband is becoming more and more unstable. Signed, Cheryl Catherine Vallow, April 9th, 2003.
So, let's just listen and follow along and see how this all plays out. There's a lot of information in here, you guys. A lot. There are 2 sides to every story. And when you go through these documents, you see the sides. We follow the motto that everything is relevant in a case until it is not relevant. And when you're talking about two deceased murdered children and you go through this document, as well as the other documents we released earlier this week, and you see the things that were going on within the homes, you want to know why. You want to know why Tylee was even allowed to be in the care of her mother. Because she shouldn't have been. Somebody failed these kids somewhere, so that's all we're trying to do is get answers. We're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. We know there are going to be hurt feelings, but these are public, so we're going to keep going. I'm watching the chat, and I will just say, no, not you, Shelly, not you at all, not you. Somebody had made a comment, and they did get timed out. If you don't agree with what we're sharing, that's great. That's fine. I respect that. You don't have to agree with us. You don't. Just leave the chat. That's all. Don't say negative things. You don't have to agree. We don't argue here, and we don't cause discourse. There's no reason for it. There's no reason. You shouldn't waste your time watching something that doesn't make you happy or that you're not able to look at objectively.
Well, the fact of the matter is these are records filed in court. It's not information that we've made up or speculated about. So, yeah. Jacinda, you don't have to give the video a thumbs up. No, if you just want to listen without adding comments, that's fine. That we respect that.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to move on. I think I got the page. Let me scroll down to the page I need to be on. It's page 11, Amy, right?
It is. Mm-hmm. Page 11, starting with number 13.
One moment, guys.
Do you want me to go ahead, or you got it?
Nope, I got it. I'm just scrolling. I got to make sure I got. Okay, so 11 through 12. It's actually 14. Request for temporary order concerning the use of property. I believe this whole thing was actually a request for a temporary restraining order. This is Cheryl went ahead after these initial filings that we discussed, and she placed a temporary restraining order on Charles. That was later lifted. It was lifted. There were charges put in place over these over different incidents. They were dropped by Cheryl. I don't think we actually need to go through this. This is just showing you, the documents that was after Cheryl's affidavit, and it's included in her affidavit.
Well, they also award her, it kind of goes in 14 temporary orders concerning use of property.
Right.
It awards Cheryl exclusive use of the home, the furniture, the furnishings, and also possession of the 1991 Mercedes station wagon motor vehicle. It's just kind of establishing who gets what right now.
Right. Yeah, it established who got what, and it was just basic. Those are just basic divorce filings. So I want to jump to the actual other page I had listed here.
Okay, while she's doing that, I'll tell you on page 12, it also, it basically states that it's the beginning of the order for Charles to pay child support as well as health insurance premiums for the children, and their uninsured medical expenses. So that was part of the temporary support.
Yeah, we're going to get to Charles's reply of this because we're going to tell both sides of the story. And then, I've had a lot of questions this week about if there were security cameras installed in Lori and Charles's home. And we're going to get to that because there were security cameras installed in their home. All of those orders are here. All of that truth is here. And there
So
are
we're
going to be things here that are hard to hear. This is right now, it seems pretty benign, but
Do you want me to start with the affidavit of Charles Vallow?
yeah, I'm just trying to get to the page. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So this is the affidavit of Charles Vallow. On April 11th, 2003, Charles Vallow appeared before me and stated as follows. My full name is Leland Charles Anthony Vallow, and I am known as Charles Vallow. I am over the age of 18 and of sound mind. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein. On April 9th, 2003, my wife, Cheryl Vallow, obtained a temporary restraining order which excluded me from our residence and from unsupervised possession of our children. The order was obtained based on incorrect facts and should be dissolved in part to permit me access to the house and to my children. I have no objection to the remainder of the restraining order being in effect until a hearing can be held. It is true, I have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and I take medication for it. Until 2 weeks ago, my diagnosis had been agitated depression, at which time my psychiatrist diagnosed me as bipolar. I take Depakote for this condition and feel it is working. I am not an alcoholic. I drink no more than 2 glasses of wine per evening, which is the same consumption as my wife, and I do not get drunk. I have never driven under the influence with the children. When I was recently advised by my doctor not to mix alcohol with certain medications, I took his advice and quit drinking several weeks ago. I have never hit my wife nor threatened to. I have never abused my children or threatened to. The police have never had a domestic violence call to our home. My wife has hit me, however. The actual facts pertaining to the alleged threat to take the children from her are what we were having an argument over her spending habits. She purchased a comforter for $2,300 without my permission. Cheryl pushed me and threatened to move and take the children. I replied, no, I will. The way she alleged it happened is a fabrication. With respect to the move out of the residence, we agreed on April 2nd, 2003, in my therapist's office, that a trial separation would be advisable. I told her I would probably stay with friends. Her response was, I don't care where you stay, just keep your mobile phone with you so I can reach you. On April 9th, 2003, we had another appointment to meet at the therapist at 9 a.m. At 9:15 a.m., Cheryl called and canceled. I then got served with this petition and TRO that day. That's the temporary restraining order. With respect to the scissors incident, the facts are as follows. On April 1st, 2003, the children were arguing over a stuffed dog at bedtime. Cheryl told them if they couldn't agree, she would get the scissors and cut the dog in half. I brought Cheryl the scissors. Cole got very upset and ran from the room. I went and got him out of the living room and brought him back to bed. There is no way that Cheryl could see from the bedroom whether I was throwing things, which I was not. As with the other incidents, while they did happen, the facts have been distorted to portray me as dangerous and unstable person. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Give me 1 second. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry. The facts that have distorted to portray me as dangerous and unstable person, which I am not. I am Cole's baseball coach and Zach's soccer coach. Both have games tomorrow. I had plans to take both boys to Indian Guides camp out this weekend. I am one of the tribe founders. The children will be extremely disappointed if this camp out does not occur. Subsequent to the alleged instance, my wife and I went out on a date together on Saturday, April 6, 2003, and had an enjoyable time. I want to keep my marriage together, and this came as a complete shock to me. I am not a threat in any way to my children, and I am a devoted father. While I am not perfect and have made mistakes, the facts in no way warrant supervised possession, even pursuant to an ex parte order. I request that the last two parts of the TRO dated April 9th, 2003 be stricken and I be permitted to participate in my children's activities this weekend. Dated April 11th, 2003. That is a lot.
Yes, and I'd like to remind the chat. I'm trying to help the mods down there. we we haven't had a great few days. So don't push it. Don't. I just banned 2 people. So please, if you don't know what you're talking about, please keep your comments to yourself and listen. Listening is key. These are not documents from the state of Idaho, and we didn't call them exclusive documents from the state of Idaho. These are documents from a different state that we obtained. We paid for these documents, and we have more coming. Is there anything else that I need to clarify?
And they're stamped and certified through the court. So
Yeah,
they say Travis County, which is Austin, Texas.
right, right. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with anybody. I'm just warning you down there. I'm super nice. I'm super laid back. Don't do it. So, what page were we on, Amy?
So while we just finished Charles' account, our next visit would be to page 91. And on page 91, we are going to discuss the child support ordered to cover the two to cover Cole and Zach.
Yeah, I think we can. I'm gonna sum it up really quick. It's basic. I'll show them. We'll sum it up because I don't think we need to focus too much on that. I mean, that's the basis of it is that child support was ordered in the amount of $2,000 a month. Alimony was ordered in the amount of $1,000 per month. On September 2nd, 2004, I'm going to jump to that page. A motion for failure to pay child support non-payment from the date of June 27th, 2003 to September 2nd, 2004, in the amount of $30,000 in arrearages. It goes on to say, let me jump to that page really quick. So basically, from the time that child support was ordered until that date, that early date in September of that year, no child support was paid, and they were back in court. It's gonna start freezing on me. If I can, it won't let me go. Okay, I might have to open that other way.
Let me know. Are you going to 153 for the motion of contempt?
I'm just gonna jump straight to. We are going to go to page 352.
352?
Yep, we're just gonna get right into the, I guess the stuff in here because I think people are thinking that we're like trying to,
I don't.
just share divorce documents, and that's not it. There's a lot more in here. So let's just jump to 352.
Okay. 352 is Cheryl C. Wheeler's affidavit in support of extraordinary relief. Do you want to take this or you want me to?
If you don't mind taking it, I'm going to get to the page number to get it on the screen.
I don't one bit.
Thank you.
Sure. So this is in the interest of Nicholas Cole Charles Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow, minor children. Cheryl C. Wheeler's affidavit in support of extraordinary relief. State of Texas, County of Travis. The date on this filed is April 10th, 2007. My name is Cheryl C. Wheeler, and I am over the age of 18 years old and of sound mind and have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein. I am the mother and joint managing conservator of Nicholas Cole Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow. While both my children primarily reside with me, they have regular and frequent visitation with their father, Charles Vallow. I am bringing this suit based on several facts and a number of incidents that have taken place which cause me grave concern for the safety and emotional well-being of my children. For the past 10 months, Lori Vallow, my son's stepmother, has been embroiled in a bitter custody battle with her ex-husband, Mr. Joseph Ryan, including scathing allegations of sexual abuse. The custody litigation has revealed that Ms. Vallow's son Colby was sexually abused by Mr. Ryan. In this ongoing litigation, Mr. Tom Ware, a guardian ad litem, has been appointed to look after the interests of the children. Mr. Ware, having heard of the evidence and allegations of the parties, has now suggested to the court that both Lori Vallow and her son Colby undergo psychosexual evaluations. Whether it is because Colby has been a victim of sexual abuse or a deviant proclivity, I cannot say. However, my sons have made several allegations of sexual abuse at the hands of their stepbrother Colby while at the Vallow house. Zach has also shared this information with his therapist, Mark White. My son Cole has stated that Colby often makes comments of sexually graphic nature towards him. For example, when I asked the boys if there had been any appropriate touching at the hands of Colby or anyone at the Vallow house, he responded, "Colby shows me his private parts, and when I ask him to stop, he won't. I'm afraid of him." The boys also revealed that Colby witnessed Charles and Lori engaging in sexual relations. Colby has left questionable telephone messages for Cole saying, "I miss the things we do at night." Cole has admitted to me that Colby is sexual with him and his brother Zach because of, in quotes, "what Joe did to him." Further, I found a provocative photo of Colby's little sister Tylee, 4 years old, on to Cole's cell phone. I'm sorry, this is difficult to read, so if I stumble over my words, my apologies. Each of these incidents are incredibly disturbing and make me fear for the safety and emotional development of my sons. Their father is aware of their sexual abuse allegations by his sons against his stepmom or stepson, and that Colby has been ordered to undergo psychosexual testing and has taken no precautions to protect his sons or even investigate the allegations. I feel the Vallow household is an unstable and dangerous place for my children. Charles Vallow has been diagnosed as having bipolar disorder. Even though he has been prescribed appropriate medication, he does not consistently take it. In fact, he has a history of going off and on his medications as it suits him. I believe he has a prescription drug and alcohol problem. Charles's erratic behavior is evidenced by telephone messages left on Cole's telephone in which Mr. Vallow is rambling, incoherent, and his speech was slurred. Charles has a history of alcohol abuse and was even warned by the judge during our divorce about mixing alcohol with his prescription drugs. I believe that the stress of the ongoing litigation in his household may be causing him to self-medicate with a combination of alcohol and prescription drugs. Another area of concern arose when my son came to me and said he was having trouble sleeping, and I asked if I could give him a sleeping pill. A commercial for the prescription sleep aid Lunesta came on the television. Cole pointed to the television and stated, "That's what Dad gives us to sleep." In January, Cole told me, "Dad and Lori give us all kinds of those green Advil, in parentheses NyQuil, and Lunesta so we go to bed early. They practically shove it down our throat." Mr. Vallow is not only abusing prescription drugs himself, but is giving them to our children. I have consistently had problems with Mr. Vallow taking our children for medical treatments, seeking out medical attention when none is warranted, and even going so far as to have a surgical procedure done on Zach without my consent. My son Zach has a dermatological skin rash on his chest that has the appearance of small wart-like bumps on his chest. I took Zach to see Dr. Vick. He prescribed Aldera for the rash. Zach had an allergic reaction to the medication, so the doctor instructed that he immediately discontinue use and that the rash would clear up on its own. Charles, not satisfied with the doctor's advice and diagnosis, took Zach to Dr. Sy. Dr. Sy did not treat Zach and also told Charles to wait 2 months, and the rash did not clear, then to take Zach to the dermatologist. 2 weeks later, Charles took Zach to a dermatologist, Dr. Vierens. Dr. Vierens that I'm sorry. I told Dr. Vierens that I did not consent to any treatment of his viral warts. Charles made an appointment to have a non-FDA approved blistering cream applied to Zach's chest. When Charles was informed that Dr. Vierens would not apply the cream based on my insistence that Zach not be treated, Charles called his plastic surgeon and had a prescription issued in his own name. On Sunday night, prior to the visitation ending, Charles applied the blistering cream to Zach's chest. At 3 a.m. Monday morning, Zach woke up complaining of severe pain, saying it hurt so much. The next day, Zach was still in pain, and I had to take him to the emergency room. When I called Charles to tell him I was taking Zach to the ER, he refused to tell me what he had applied to Zach's chest and flippantly stated, "I don't remember." Zach had to miss school the next day because he was still in pain and discomfort. I took Zach back to Dr. V, who explained that a blistering treatment should not have been applied outside of physician's care. Dr. V says that Zach needs to heal and not to put anything on the burns. A couple of days later, Charles takes Zach to a different dermatologist, Dr. Rhodes. When Dr. Rhodes refused to apply the blistering cream on Zach, Charles took Zach home and again applied the cream himself. I have attached photos of Zach's chest after Charles has applied the cream. Zach has told me that he doesn't tell his dad about the warts because he feels his father will reapply the blistering cream. To this day, Charles continues to put the blistering cream on Zach. When I checked the insurance coding of Dr. Rhodes' treatment of Zach, I noticed that she coded the diagnosis for Zach's burns as dermatitis. I don't know how to say this. I believe it's fasciitis, or skin condition caused by a psychological disorder such as self-mutilation. Since Zach did not willing or voluntarily apply the blistering cream himself, the coding states that the application indicates Munchausen's syndrome by proxy. Charles has significant psychological issues, and we are having that are having detrimental effects on his treatment and care of our children. Additionally, I am concerned about the overall stability and environment of the Vallow household that has hindered my children's emotional stability. While at their father's home, they witnessed excessive fighting between Lori and Charles Vallow. Zach described to me one such incident that took place while the whole family was riding in the car. Lori was pulling on Charles's arm while it was controlling the steering wheel, causing the car to swerve. Zach was terrified that they were going to crash and told me he began to cry. During spring break of this year, the boys spent 3 weeks away from their father. The change in their demeanor and behavior was astonishing. Prior to the extended visitation in March, Cole experienced motor tics in his neck and would have continuous health complaints, would not look people in the eye for even simple tasks like ordering from a waiter. He was very moody, withdrawn, and even pushed me down one weekend after returning from his father's house. This is very concerning because Cole has never been physical with me. After being away from his father, I saw dramatic improvement in Cole's behavior. His tic had disappeared. He became engaged in conversation, funny, light-natured, and less burdened by daily life. Cole began laughing like I had not seen him do in over a year. It made me sad that there was this happy kid inside there somewhere just waiting to come out. Zach also exhibits very different behavior when he is away from his father. Prior to our 3 weeks away, Zach had been very withdrawn. He was needy and dependent and would wake up with occasional nightmares and bedwetting and complained of constant fatigue. After his time away from the Vallow household, Zach has not been excessively tired and not experienced a nightmare or wet his bed even once. He has taken on many new big boy responsibilities and chores without complaint. He seems to enjoy spending time with my husband Mark and has an overall sense of security and calm about him. I fear for the emotional growth and mental stability of my children when they are with their father. I believe that Cole and Zach could be in significant danger of sexual abuse, narcotic overdose, and or physical danger while under the care and control of Charles Vallow. I request that possession be suspended between Charles Vallow and our sons until the court makes orders that will protect the health and safety of my children. Signed April 9th, 2007, Cheryl C. Wheeler. So obviously I was reading and couldn't pay attention to the chat. I'm going to look over at it in a moment.
But yeah, let's take a break for a minute because this is heavy stuff, and there's actually stuff that is even heavier to come within this live. So let's take a break, take a deep breath.
It's a lot. I've read it. I'm going to tell you guys, I've read this before. I don't like hearing about children being in danger. I don't like allegations of sexual abuse. I don't like any of it, but I'm very comfortable talking about it, and this makes me highly uncomfortable.
Mhm. I'd actually like to add, I see a lot of people placing blame on Lori, and while I do, this is just my opinion, um, while I do think that Lori is to blame for some of this, I think that our duty as parents is to protect our children,
I,
right?
I agree. Yes, that is their
So,
number one responsibility.
um, so if somebody, if my children were to come to me and tell me that they were being abused, I would probably be in jail if somebody was hurting my kids. This continues, and somebody in the chat is asking what the purpose of this is. The purpose of this is because this goes hand in hand with Lori's accusations against Joe. You can physically compare dates on these documents. These two battles were going on at the same time.
They were concurrent.
They were concurrent. They became entwined with each other. And there was one common denominator in all of this. Well, two.
Right.
Lori in the Vallow home. That was
Right.
the common denominator.
And we can't. I think we can also point out that these two these two legal arguments or legal issues mirrored each other in several ways. There is speculation, and there is enough to talk about in Tylee's case that there may have been Munchausen's by proxy there as
Mhm.
well. And so over here you're seeing Charles being accused of the same thing. There's Lori's has a Lori Vallow has a constant theme of sexual abuse, and here we see it on the other side. Um, do they answer any questions? No. Do they support? Do some statements support other things more heavily than others? Not necessarily, because we're not qualified to say that, but you can't ignore the commonalities.
You can't. You absolutely can't. And just looking at the chat here, I think is it Michelle Lee? I'm not sure. You said on Dateline, Cheryl seemed to defend Charles. So,
That's interesting.
while, I think Cheryl had two children with Charles and she loved him and she knew his struggles and she knew his good side and that he had a good heart and he got wrapped up with Lori. I will say that Cheryl, I did make her aware of this. I didn't want anybody being stunned when this came out. I didn't, everybody is very well aware by now that we've been obtaining documents. So we do have compassion for the family. We do. We cover true crime and we cover all aspects of true crime. And
And you can't cover a case without talking about everything in front of you. I mean, we talk about our rules in the chat and everything else, but there really, if you want to elaborate, we said at the beginning, everything is relevant until it isn't.
right. Yes, it has purpose. It's very hard to hear and it gets worse. So I would advise anybody in the chat who doesn't want to hear this or who doesn't agree with this live to please just walk away. Don't don't waste your energy. Your life's short. Don't waste your energy leaving nasty comments or trying to make us out to be the bad guys because we're delivering you factual information. Just leave. That's all. Um I see our mods continuously having to time people out, and that's not fair. You you need to look at true crime cases objectively. objectively. We're not placing blame anywhere. We're reading you documents that.
And we're letting you come to your own conclusions. And then on the flip side, for all of you making really great comments and giving good insights and participating in the chat, thank you.
Yes,
Because
thank
that's
you
what we
very much.
thank you.
Yes.
So
There are people in the chat who actually say do not disrupt the people who want to hear. So please
okay.
respect our chat down there, guys.
What would you
If
like to where are we going next?
we're gonna move on to the next document. I have to scroll really quick. Yes, Gina B, our mods are amazing. We have some amazing mods down there. We have a great team behind WTAF. It's not just me and Amy. I think we've said that all the time, but our mods are amazing.
Probably. Yeah, we probably can't say it enough. Our
Yeah,
mods.
yeah,
We call our mods the bomb squad for a reason because they're
we
the
do.
bomb. And
So after all of this, yeah, I stopped sharing the screen. After all of this, Lori Vallow was summoned to testify, and we are going to jump to. There was guardian ad litems involved. We're going to jump to a page about home monitoring systems within the Vallow home.
can I trouble you for that page number?
Yeah, I can read it actually too. I gotta pull it up really quick. I think it is 4. It's on the. I just want to make sure I didn't want to miss anything here. Okay, yeah, we got that.
420.
420, yes. Starting at page 420, we're gonna jump to, and I'm gonna get that back up on the screen. As soon as it loads. For all of you who appreciate us bringing this to your attention, thank you. Thank you for being understanding and supportive and being able to look at this from an objective point of view and know that we're not trying to do any harm. We're not doing any harm. We're just reading facts. Everybody needs to know this. I mean, everybody's watched Joseph Ryan be accused of being a child molester for the last 7 months. We've all witnessed that. We provided documents last week showing that courts failed to they actually returned a no bill, and we shared all the all the information that supported while there was no bill. We never said that Colby wasn't abused. I will say this is my personal belief. I believe there was clearly abuse going on in this home. There was, and it's no coincidence. If you ever look at this case, have you ever noticed? Anybody ever noticed all the coincidences in this case? So many coincidences. And if you're a person who doesn't even believe in coincidences, you're like, wow. But then when you notice how many of them there are, you're like, there's no way. All of this started 6 months after Charles's marriage to Lori. Everything in these divorces between these two married couples who got divorced was pretty amicable the first couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And then all hell broke loose once Charles and Lori got married, and after they had been married for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Lori was the catalyst. And I believe that I'm not going to talk about details because you all are intelligent enough to get what I'm saying, but this paints a picture of the Vallow home that's a lot different than you're led to believe everywhere else. It was not the loving home where they adopted JJ and there were nannies and everybody, went skiing and things like that. That is not what these documents paint. This is shedding truth. It's shedding light.
Right.
On what the reality was for these small children in this home. And
Yes.
it's frightening. And it's frightening that it went through the court system like this and we still came to the ending, where we are. Two dead children found in her new husband's backyard.
I would like everybody to sit and think about what we are sharing with them and ask yourselves, If any of these children, any of them, Colby, Zach, Nicholas, Tylee, if any of them should have been left in the care of Lori, and I'm sorry at this point, even Charles,
Mm-hmm.
should any of those kids have been left there? What would have happened if the courts had did what they are supposed to do? Because I do believe these children were failed. I believe that 100%, and I will never stop believing that. What would the outcome be today had these children been taken away?
Right.
Would Tylee
JJ
and JJ be dead today?
JJ probably wouldn't have been adopted by Charles and Lori.
Right. Right. And
He
then
would
you have to ask, how was the adoption even allowed? Because even when you do a kinship adoption, there's still a process you have to follow.
Right.
How did Lori and Charles get past all of these court records that never came up in their adoption?
Right.
I mean, you're talking there was child protective services involved. There was guardian ad litems. At one point, it was recommended that Tylee be taken and put in foster care.
Mm-hmm.
There was psychosexual analysis done on children.
Right. And then she gets JJ. First of all, she's appears to be at the very least emotionally abusive to Tylee. Then she gets JJ. I don't really know what the motivation for that adoption was, because she's not the loving, caring person she tries to portray herself to be.
Mm-hmm.
She gets him. He's generally in the care of other people. She has very little patience for him. And at some point, we were talking about this today. She's separated from Charles, or they're talking about their separation, and she's like, I'm done. She doesn't have the money for the nannies now. I'm done. He's your problem now. So why did they even take him? I really wish we could go back in time and change the trajectory. I mean, I know you say this for a lot of things, but if one of these children had been removed, if one of these claims had been taken seriously, it could have changed the course of events for everything, and we wouldn't be sitting here where we are today.
Right. Right. We would not be sitting where we are today. I tend to believe that most likely Tylee and JJ would both be alive.
You know what I do believe?
And I believe other people would be alive too. I believe Joe Ryan would be alive.
I do too.
I do.
Yeah.
That's just my belief. I'm speculating,
Right.
not throwing accusations. And somebody had mentioned in the chat, all of this does not take away from Charles being a victim of murder. And you're absolutely right. It does not. He's still a victim. He still deserves justice. He still needs justice. This was a very, very unfortunate situation. Unfortunate is putting it mildly.
Well, it's just too many things slipped through the cracks. Too many things were overlooked. Too many things were probably thought to be dramatized or what have you. What I was going to say is, we still wouldn't, we wouldn't be where we are, today. But I do believe that Lori is so disturbed that she would end up in jail somehow, some way. Mm-hmm. Her path she was on that path. Mm-hmm. I just wish we could have,
Well, yeah, she was on that path. I mean, she was married 2 times before she was how old? And I'm just saying, the woman's got 5 marriages under her belt. 5 marriages.
It's not even, well, I mean, it is that, but I don't want to sit and judge on that. I think the easier thing to point out is that those first 2 husbands ran like hell.
Right. That's what I was getting at, is that I'm not judging her. I mean, if you want to get married 20 times, hell, get married 20 times.
Right.
But I think it paints a pattern. It
Oh,
paints a pattern. And she was young, when she got
yeah.
married the first time. She was young when she got married the second time to Colby's biological father. And we both have said this, and you just said it. Her first two ex-husbands are alive, and this is my saying that I go to. I think they ran for the hills. That's why they're
Yeah.
alive.
Oh, one of them owes their parents for the rest of his life, not only for his original life, but for paying for his divorce, because that was the only reason he was staying, was he couldn't afford to divorce her. They paid for his divorce. They saved,
Right.
they gave him life, and then they saved his life. They should wake up every morning thinking they're lucky stars that
Mhm.
they're still here, because I don't I personally don't believe that Lori ever really got her hands dirty. I think she had other people do her dirty work for her, but ultimately she's responsible.
Right. Right. She is responsible. I just this is stuff you guys can't even, like, the best fiction writer
Oh,
with like 20 New York Times bestsellers couldn't write this.
next time we get these documents, we should just write a book.
Yeah.
It would be a lot less stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm joking, of course.
Anyways, yeah. I want to thank Gina B for the super chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you for that. I've had it up there for a minute. I just didn't get a chance to thank you. I hope everybody gets justice. But I really, really want to see justice for Tylee and JJ.
Yeah.
I do.
It's just, for me, it's unfathomable to get rid of your own children. I can't. I can't. I don't even have my own children. I have stepchildren. I can't.
Right.
It's
So I guess
disgusting.
we will move on to the next part. Angie, even Lifetime Network is saying what? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they can. They can. Put the strive in a movie to make this. I just don't. I don't even know how they would.
Yeah.
I don't think Lifetime could. Plus, they'd have to make it one of those like mini series.
Yes. Yeah.
There's just
I
no
have,
way.
I have to mute for 10 seconds. Sorry.
Sure, sure. So, oh, there goes my computer. Um, let's see. Stacy D in Texas. This whole case is more effed up than a soup sandwich. I've never heard that before.
You've never heard of a soup sandwich? Oh my God, stop. Think about putting soup on a sandwich.
Well, I know, but I've just never heard. I mean, I'm from Texas. I've heard I'll be a June bug in January. I've heard that's enough to gag a
That's
maggot off a
funny.
shit pile. I've heard them all, but I've never heard that one.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Let's see. I'll put a couple more questions up and then we'll move on. Did
So,
Kay and Larry know about these accusations before wanting Lori and Charles to adopt JJ? I don't know that answer. I would have to assume no, because I know that Kay and Larry adore JJ.
mm-hmm.
And I really don't think that had they known all of this was going on, that they would have ever let JJ be adopted.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Sometimes you guys say something really funny in the chat, and I'll be
They
really,
do.
and I can't, and I'm sorry. I don't know why Madam Deficit doesn't know where I've been. I've been right here, girlfriend, right here.
You're
And
right, Sky Blue. Charles knew. Another interesting aspect of this case. This is not really off base from these documents, but if you listen to our last live where we discussed the huge release of documents that we got, And I think we put it in our Facebook group too. Those emails are in our Facebook group. Charles was emailing with Joe Ryan and said that he had intentions on adopting Colby. Yes. And I think it's very interesting that Charles and Cheryl, one of their children, was adopted from one of Charles's relatives. That is in these court documents.
Mm-hmm.
Charles adopted his sister's grandson, and Charles spoke about adopting Colby. So
There's a lot of interfamily adoption. There's just like these over like reoccurring themes.
right. Right. Yeah, and that's a reoccurring theme is adoption of
A familial adoption, basically.
yeah, he
Yeah.
adopted three boys.
Right.
Or he intended to adopt three boys. He never actually adopted Colby. So
Colby just took his last name.
no, Colby took Joe's last name. Colby never
Oh,
took,
you're right. You're right.
yeah,
Oh, God.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
There I think you might be confused because in the
No.
huge document release. No, in the huge document release, there is a couple portions where Colby is referred to as Colby Vallow.
No, it's not that. It's while I'm talking to you, the lights are flickering here and it's storming outside and I'm nervous.
It's storming here too.
My brain isn't working really well. I have my computer's running on battery backup right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephanie May said that Lori put him up to it. See, this is the problem that it's not really a problem, just a thought that I have is that we're grown adults. We make our own decisions. So,
Right.
I mean, Lori had to be a manipulator. She's going to be a case study. She will be a case study, I think. I think that psychiatrists and forensic psychiatrists and profilers and anybody who can study her, they're going to study her because the decades of what she has done is unbelievable.
Right. Well, ultimately, you're right. Ultimately, people are responsible for their own actions. What I will say is that Lori was very calculated. So there was the truth, what was really going on. So when she's in her little, not her little dispute, her huge dispute with Joe Ryan, she's telling Charles her own version of the truth. And because he loves her, he's believing it, he's eating it up, he's still under that love spell. She can't do any wrong, she doesn't lie, she tells me the truth, and then it goes on and on and on. So if everybody had if she wasn't running interference, if there wasn't all these lies, if she wasn't setting little fires to distract everybody, and the truth was just laid out on a flat surface, my God, I'm not sure that Charles would ever done this. I think he got her, he is responsible for what he's done, but I think he really got her emotionally fueled because she got him under her spell, and then he loved her so much he'd do anything for her, even if it was completely irrational.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens over and over and over again.
I mean, too bad she didn't get Chad too. Because I hate him. I'm not trying to encourage any bad behavior, but if there was any of them that deserved to die, it would be Chad. Charles didn't deserve to die. Charles was murdered. I don't know if we'll ever have answers about Joe, but you have to sit and wonder what would have happened had they not got caught. Would she eventually have killed Chad too?
Most likely.
Or would he have got her first? Because there's really two completely effed up people that
Well, you gotta wonder what really, I mean, we have our opinions, but I'm just gonna say, you gotta wonder what really happened to Tammy, what really happened to Alex, what really happened to Lori's sister Stacy. What,
Hmm.
Alex is around all these people that disappear, and then he, not disappear, but die, right?
Who?
And then Alex. Alex is
Oh
around
yeah.
Stacy when the whole family's gone. She dies, right?
Okay, no, but we figured that out. Stacy was. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the Facebook group. I would totally put your name out there right now if I remembered it. I don't remember it, but I will come back and edit it in the comments. It's on Reddit. You can read the documents on Reddit, and I'll go ahead and link the Reddit thread in the group. Stacy was a diabetic, and when you read the documents,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't take care of herself properly. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't give herself insulin like she was supposed to.
Right.
She was in almost like a probably psychosis. I can't diagnose her with that because I'm not a doctor, but um the
Okay.
the field that I'm in, she went into a diabetic coma, which was destined to happen to her.
Right. Okay. And I understand that. I think I go on these weird tangents. We all know it. I think about some of the signs that Tammy exhibited when she died are very similar to an insulin overdose, and I just see all this stuff everywhere. And Alex is I basically, my point is, we don't have to go into the details. Basically my point is that Alex is, tasing people. Alex is, shot Charles, and then Alex dies, right? Who would be next? You're right. It's probably Chad, because Chad probably knows.
Well, and in the same respect, so maybe there are similarities with insulin overdose and Tammy's death. We don't have any results yet, so we don't know that that's
Right.
what she died from. In the same respect, maybe that's where an idea spawned when Stacy died because of I don't know if it was hyper or hypoglycemia. She
Right.
basically her body went into shutdown because of her diabetes and because she didn't manage herself correctly. Um, there's been talk that maybe because Stacy did threaten suicide, she did
Hmm.
threaten to overdose herself with uh, overdose herself with insulin and kill herself. So maybe that could have been like a seed planted in Lori and Alex's brain, like,
Right.
oh, people can die from insulin. We don't know.
I
That's all speculation.
Right. It is all speculation. And I think the way you just worded it is, my head's a little like all over tonight, but that is probably more of a point that I wanted to make than the other. So thank you.
No
Because
problem.
I think, well, I don't think, I believe that everything that Lori does comes from some personal experience. I truly believe, and we've discussed this privately, I truly believe that when Lori comes up with these very specific sexual abuse allegations, that, I'm sorry, I don't think you can pull that out of thin air, and I don't think you read it very many places. I think it happened to her, or she knows somebody that it happened to.
Yes, yeah, we've talked about that.
I
Yeah,
think I think
she's.
everything that she does is based off of a real life experience that she's already had,
Mm-hmm.
and she
I,
puts
I
it
I
in her
believe
little
that.
bag of tricks.
I believe that. I believe that. I'm looking for a comment here. ACM said, "Do you think after Charles converted to LDS and had become so active in the church that it had positive effect on his life in spite of Lori's erratic behavior? No drinking would have been a positive." Um, I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna get to some more parts that suggest that Charles was drinking. I I don't know if Charles was still consuming alcohol. And I think with any faith, any religious faith that you follow, a lot of them discourage drinking.
Hmm.
Baptists are against consuming alcohol. LDS are against consuming alcohol. Catholics are not. Not throwing any shade at Catholicism. Not throwing,
It's
just
okay. I'm
stating the
not
fact.
practicing.
I don't, whatever other religions, but you will
Mhm.
still see people in that faith who still drink and they just hide it. I'm not saying Charles did that.
Right.
I'm just saying we don't know, but that is a good question. Um,
LDS do not partake in anything that could lead to an addiction, and that includes things like caffeine.
that's interesting, Snow Remover. You think Visine is a cause of what Alex and Tammy both died from? Could you
Ooh,
explain? Could you explain down in the comments? That's interesting. Um,
that is interesting. Wasn't there a case where somebody was like doing that workplace prank and somebody died because they were doing Visine in the coffee?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking for this comment, and if I can't find it, we'll move on. Yeah, Angie, you can't forget her dead attorney that visited her. Lisa said Nate Eaton posted a story that Cheryl believed Charles's murder was 100% planned. I agree.
Arrow Doe says it absolutely could be Visine. It's a vasoconstrictor. The heart starves.
Mm-hmm.
That is really. You guys are.
Yeah, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy Baker said this info probably wasn't available at the time they adopted JJ, was it? Yes, it was available. It was available. I want to find this comment and move on to the rest of the documents, but
Well,
uh,
Stacy D in Texas, she says, but Lori was drinking a Pepsi. Visine can kill you and you will have uncomfortable diarrhea. Well, I think we've established that Lori picked and chose what part of the LDS um, doctrine she was going to follow. And then she made up her own.
right, right. Jan Thurgood, I think this is irrelevant. I've wondered this myself. Jan Thurgood said she said I'm wondering if Alex sexually molested Lori.
Mm.
They were awfully close. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that was like her right hand man, and people have said he would do anything for Lori.
He was
So
beholden to her. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yep. I have on my stars said Charles did love JJ though. If he didn't, he wouldn't have been worrying about him. He was under a love spell for real. I agree. I agree. I think I just have, you know, I've said it 1,000 times. I think most of us are parents. And if my children come to me or my children are making statements that they're being abused, I mean, maybe I'm not able to understand it because that has to be one heck of a love spell, but I'd be gone, or
Right.
my kids would not be around that person.
Right. I'm seeing that somebody wrote La Mesa Filipino Food Club wrote she also, meaning Lori, owed money to a lawyer who just happened to die as well, right? Yeah, that's true. And I think her response was something along the lines, well, that kind of helped me out because she owed him quite a bit of money. And then somebody else said, Catherine Michelle, LDS doctrine does not forbid caffeine. I'm not okay. I should clear that up. I'm not sure it forbids it. I I do have LDS friends, and I remember reading the Travis Alexander case that they discourage anything that can cause dependency. So that's where I'm getting that from. And caffeine is one of them. The body is a temple type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think we're gonna move on to. I'm gonna get the next documents or the file pulled up, and we'll keep going. But we can keep going over a couple questions while I pull that up.
Okay.
Um.
We're going to page 420, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And I will read this time since you've read so much. Can you give me just 1 second? And
Sure.
I will get it started.
Yeah.
Thank you guys in the chat. You guys are definitely critically thinking and being open-minded and understanding. We appreciate that very much.
Actually, I would go ahead and go to 425 because the others are just like fax cover sheets and save yourself the time.
Actually, they're letters from the lawyers. So
Am I the wrong document again?
I don't know, but 420 of the PDF is letters from the lawyers that I'll read. So I just need 2 seconds. I have to grab my coffee. 1 second.
Oh, she's right. I was. There's, when you guys see these on page, let's see, it starts on page 420, 421, 422, and 423 are way skewed to the right margin. And I'd flipped through them because, thank God she's reading them. There are parts of it cut off just, I think, the way the documents were scanned into the computer. I'm going to look back at the text while she's gone. Alexis and Roxanne say, yeah, I've seen that too about the caffeine with past colleagues who were Mormons. Vicky says, Lori changed the title from the Book of Mormon to the Book of Lori. You guys are funny. Tracy L, pink foam from what? I wonder what causes that. Yep. When you read divorce documents, you have to add lots of salt. Not on these. These are pretty salty.
I can give a little insight on pink foam, just a little bit. Well, yeah, Sarah, you're right. Pink foaming is linked to long heart issues. My father died. There was pink foam, and it was sudden liver failure. So pink foam can actually be a lot of different things. The body does some different things upon death, and it's not always the same with every person or 2 deaths that are the same, you know. But
Right.
so we will get into these documents, and I'm going to read them. If I trip up on my words, please forgive me.
I'm going to step away for 1 second if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. I'll be right back.
So this letter is dated April 26th, and this came from the Hindera Law Firm. This was a lawyer that both Charles and Lori shared. And it begins with, Dear Miss McCullough Vavra, I will of course provide verification of the installation and proper functioning of the monitoring system. In fact, you will recall that Judge Naraho said I could inspect the system and provide assurance to all that it is in working order, and I shall do that prior to the end of school today. Therefore, all visitations should concur as per the extant order and without deviation by either party. We will preserve the video for inspection by Judge N. I will provide this material to Judge N as she directs. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you for your kind cooperation in this matter. Signed by the lawyer, and we're going to go on to the next page. This lawyer actually is the same lawyer that was representing Lori. So she was representing Charles. Same lawyer that Charles assaulted his wife, and he actually resigned from both Lori and Charles's cases eventually. This letter is a response to Mr. Hindera from Cheryl's lawyer. It says, Dear Mr. Hindera, please provide my office with notice once the video monitoring system has been installed in the Vallow home. I have instructed Miss Wheeler that Cole and Zachary will only be spending the night at Mr. Vallow's house. Once we have confirmation that the monitoring system has been purchased, installed, and is in working order, we will accept a copy of the sales receipt and photographic evidence of the installed cameras as proof that these steps have been completed as ordered. Further, we would like to review copies of the tapes on a weekly basis as confirmation that the orders of the court are being complied with. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. And Cheryl's lawyer signed it. And here's a response from the Hindera law firm again. It says, Dear Judge and Miss McCullough Vavra, as per the court's instructions yesterday, Charles Vallow has installed a motion-activated video recorder that will capture behavior in 1, the bedroom that will be occupied by Colby Ryan, 2, the bedroom that will be occupied by Cole and Zach Vallow, and 3, the family room downstairs. The video recorder will be on at all times during Mr. Vallow's visitations with his sons. Accordingly, Mr. Vallow will exercise his overnight visitation tonight. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Toward that, what? That doesn't make sense. Toward that end, my cell phone number is whatever. Thank you for your kind cooperation in this matter. Signed, John Hindera. And we have another letter. We're going to skip over the fax cover sheet.
I can't imagine the situation.
And we are at, oh, sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay. I just can't imagine getting yourself in a situation where now you have cameras in your home in a child's bedroom. I mean, I understand the purpose of them. It blows my mind. And then you have to submit tapes for weekly review.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty serious situation to get yourself in. In my opinion, this is just me. Screw the cameras. If there's any suspicion or whatever, take the kids out and do something else. But
right.
Do you want me to read this one?
No, I'm going to read it. I was just looking at a comment that so, dear Mr. Hindera, this is from Cheryl's lawyer. While we appreciate your assertion that Mr. Vallow has installed the video monitoring system, we simply are unwilling to take Mr. Vallow's word for it. When it comes to these children, given his past discretions, as requested yesterday, please provide our office with a sales receipt for the purchase of the video equipment with photographic evidence of the installation and or an official statement from your office confirming that you have personally observed that the video monitoring system is in place and is in working order. Until we have one of the aforementioned items as assurance that Mr. Vallow has followed the court orders, we simply cannot let the boys spend the night at their father's house. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Signed, Jimmy Vout. And we're going to go to the next letter. What is this? Okay. So this is a guardian at litem statement. And this is just the notice of designation and appearance of the guardian ad litem. And I believe there's a statement after this. Or is this just a... Okay, that's just the parenting plan. Let's see if the statement comes up. I don't know where Amy went.
I'm right here. You couldn't hear me?
No.
I was talking. I'm sorry.
No, I couldn't hear you. Okay, so we got another letter. So this is, oh, that's just out of the office letter. I'm not sure. I wanted to find. I thought there was a guardian ad litem statement in this.
There is. It is on page 431.
What page are we on here? Oh, I just came upon
Yeah,
it.
you
Okay.
were you were right. You were sneaking up on
Okay.
it. Yep.
So on May 25th, 2007, and these dates are all important. They're very important. They're very corresponding to Joe and Lori's battle. So this is to the Honorable Judge N. I'm just going to call him that because it's easier.
It's Naranjo.
I think that's what I had called him, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
To the Honorable Judge Naranjo. On April 26, 2007, a guardian ad litem was appointed to represent the best interest of these children regarding their safety in their homes and whether further interviewing seems appropriate. The order appointing a guardian ad litem appoints a full guardianship with a written report to the court on or before May 25th, 2007, with the guardian being dismissed upon submission of the report. Per my conversation with you on May 22nd, 2007, this guardian will remain on the case to attend the hearing scheduled for June 14th, 2007, and take further orders from the court. Duties specifically set out in this order are to interview the children, determine results of any child abuse investigations, investigate allegations of domestic violence, conduct investigations of both homes to determine safety and implementation of the safety plan in father's home. The guardian is to then give an opinion on conservatorship, possession and access, and need for supervision. This court also asked for an opinion as to whether the court should interview the boys regarding allegations of sexual abuse and issues of continued visitation. The following have been done: an office visit with each parent individually, a school visit with each child individually, a home visit at each home with the children and including other members of the household, camera surveillance noted in father's home, cameras pointed at beds of 3 boys and in the living room, monitor in parents' room, and closable cabinet, only visual with proper lighting, checking criminal and CPS records.
You want me to go and take this one?
I can finish it, and then we can
No, that's fine.
move
Go
on
ahead.
to the okay.
Go ahead.
Conversations with the detective Scrocky, investigating allegations of step sibling against either party. Susan Shinksy, therapist for 2 step siblings. Dr. Poole, father's evaluation and conversations with Cole and Zach Vallow. Mark White, previous therapist for Vallow boys. Dr. Dobbin, Cheryl Wheeler, psychiatrist. Dr. Thorne, mother's evaluation. Kamal Kelly, therapist used by Cheryl and Mark Wheeler. Sat in on court hearings regarding the sexual abuse allegations of step siblings by other party. The following are the recommendations of this guardian based on the above investigations: that no further interviews of these children about sexual abuse are appropriate or necessary unless by a qualified therapist who will be continuing therapeutic contact with the children. Cole and Zach have denied any abusive behaviors to all who have asked. CPS, Mark White, David Poole. That the safety issues in the home of the father, Mr. Vallow, would be best addressed by father and stepmother attending a protective parenting class and a sex abuse dynamics group, respectively, both held at the Center for Child Protection. This would be in lieu of camera surveillance. Classes would inform them of appropriate supervision of children with possible sexual abuse issues. That Cole and Zach not share a bedroom with siblings in the father's home, that Cole and Zach Vallow will be involved with the therapist to help reestablish trust between them, their parents and step-parents, and step-siblings, and address other issues as a parent. Parents and step-parents to be involved as therapist requests. The mother and father be named joint managing conservators with shared rights and duties. Primary residence continues at mother's right. That father continue his possession schedule as it has been with no supervision. Domestic violence was alleged on 5/18/03 with a 2-month protective order. This does not appear to have continued as the final decree of divorce was signed on 6/27/2003 with no restrictions and the father having expanded standard possession order. There is no further documentation of domestic violence. That each parent follow the recommendations from their psychological evaluation. Signed, Gail Johnson, licensed social worker, guardian at Lightum Domestic Relations Office.
Wow.
And I think we got to see what this letter is before, because we have to get to the conversations with Lori as well.
Right.
There's a lot more in between all these pages.
Right. It's basically what scheduling therapy sessions or
Is that
coaching
any? Yes.
sessions. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so we're gonna pull this down for a minute. Okay, so we're gonna get to Lori's conversations. Let's see what you guys are saying down there.
well, they're mostly there's been a little. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I made a big statement. It's in our community section right here. They're mostly talking about mentioning other creators. We have creators that we love and that support us, and from time to time, Danielle and I will mention them. But sometimes comments get dropped in the chat and they get taken out of context and it can create issues with other channels. We don't want that. We want this to be a kind place, so we just
Oh
don't
yeah,
say anything good
yeah.
or bad, and that's all we're asking. And
We definitely don't call other channels names down in the chat. Andrew
no,
Ryan,
we don't.
please. That was at the top of the list here in this chat. Maybe you didn't see it, but please don't. No, no.
Right. So that's pretty much it. Otherwise, they were listening attentively, and there, but there was a little bit of that back and forth. But our moderators handled it well. So.
Thank you, guys. Can just really quick before we move forward, I asked the mods, do you need me to slow the chat or are you good? Give me a thumbs up if we're good, because I can slow it more if we need to.
Kathy Cedar says that's all the two boys wanted was his watches. Was his watches, and she sent cheap fake watches and kept the expensive ones to sell upon her keep. Oh, I don't know anything about that. Tambra, I know you're attentive. Hi, Irish. I didn't say hi to you tonight.
Hey, Irish.
They do rock. Our moderators rock.
All right, we're good. We're good. I'm going to mute for just 1 second because I have to sneeze. My allergies are crazy and I don't want to sneeze into the microphone. And I think we're moving on to the conversations with Lori, right? Is that what our?
Those are in the 700s.
Yes. Yep. We're going to get to that in just one moment.
Whoops. Good grief. Let me look and see what you guys are talking about. Yes, Jan, this case is unbelievable. That's why, that's why it's important that we have these documents too, because there's a lot of rumor. The family members have talked and said some things publicly that have been shocking. And here's another version, and it's filed in the court system, and you have some professional opinions on them. However you want to take that. Stacy D in Texas. I was here as Little Texas Tornado before. Y'all don't think I just came out of the woodwork.
Oh, I remember that name.
I remember you too. Thanks for letting us know. I kind of wondered, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to read these ones, Amy?
Sure.
Are you good, or you want me to read them?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, let's see.
All right. Let me get them up on the screen real quick before we start.
Sure. Let me get a reach for my water. Okay. All right. This is page 757. In the interest of Nicholas Cole Charles Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow, minor children, in the District Court, 250th Judicial District, Travis County, Texas. Cheryl C. Wheeler's affidavit in support of extraordinary relief. State of Texas, County of Travis. My name is Cheryl C. Wheeler, and I am over the age of 18 years and of sound mind and have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein. I am the mother and joint managing conservator of Nicholas Cole Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow. I am bringing this suit based on the events of August 18th through the 21st, 2008, that have taken place in Charles Vallow's home, which caused me grave concern for the safety and emotional well-being of my children. On August 19th, 2008 at 8:21 p.m., I received a phone call from Charles Vallow telling me that his wife, Lori, had walked into her daughter, Tylee's room on August 18th, 2008 at approximately 2 a.m. and found our son, Cole Vallow, vigorously masturbating while laying in bed with 5-year-old Tylee. Charles then told me that Eileen Portner, Charles and Lori's therapist, had reported the incident to Child Protective Services per Lori's request. This request of the therapist was made the day after the incident during an office visit because they did not know how to handle it. Immediately, my first reaction for the protection and safety of all parties involved was to remove Cole and Zach from Charles' possession and bring them to my home. Charles agreed at the time, and the children have been in my possession ever since. The morning of August 20th, 2008, I phoned Charles at home and spoke with him in more detail about the accusations. I then asked to speak directly with Lori, as she was the party making the accusations against Cole and the sole witness to this disturbing accusation. Lori described to me that every night she stays in Tylee's bedroom until Tylee falls asleep. However, on the night of the accusation, Charles and Lori wanted Cole to sleep in her room with her. Lori's comment to me regarding Cole sharing a bedroom with her daughter was, "I thought nothing of it." Charles's statement to me regarding his son sharing a bedroom with Tylee was, "Lori thought it was cute. We were happy. When I spoke to Cole about what happened that night, his version of the story differed quite a bit. He told me Lori and Charles asked him to sleep in Tylee's room with her, so he fell asleep in the beanbag chair. The next thing he recalls is Lori waking him up and telling him to go to bed in his room. Nothing was said to Cole that night. Cole further said, "Lori is always telling lies about everyone to protect Tylee. We talked about the case filed against him with CPS, and Cole told me Charles had said we had to report it or the police would come and take all of you kids away." Since the incident, Cole asked me several times a day, whenever the name of a family friend or a friend of his is mentioned, "Do they know?" During a phone conversation on August 21st between Cole and Charles, Charles threatened Cole by stating, "So you don't want to come over here anymore? Unless you quit denying what you did, that is exactly what's going to happen. I cannot bear for my son to be crucified without inquiry or proof, especially from his own father." Cole has been very hurt by this. It is my hope that whatever investigation is done by CPS uncovers the events of that night. Regardless of their findings, this matter should have and could have been prevented by the Vallows. This incident is especially troubling because in the course of this past year, Charles, Lori, and I appeared before the court on multiple occasions where orders were made for the Vallows to install security cameras in their home to monitor the children and their sleeping arrangements, as the Vallows seemed to lack the appropriate means or desire to effectively monitor the children in their home. Further, Charles and Lori were specifically ordered by Judge Naranjo to have any of the not to have any of the step siblings share a bedroom. This sentiment was reiterated in Judge Livingston's ruling upon final trial. Charles and Lori were also ordered to take a protective parenting class and a sexual abuse dynamics group held at the Center for Child Protective Services. The Vallows did not complete the parenting classes. Despite being ordered to ensure that none of the step siblings shared a room, Charles shows total disregard for the court's order to our children's detriment. The Vallow household is an unsafe environment for Cole and Zach Vallow. Charles and Lori have a history of ignoring court orders, not only in this case, but in a custody case involving Tylee. My concerns stem from my witnessing that Lori has a history of making false sexual abuse allegations. Charles is not capable of following court orders or protecting any of the children in this household. Our son now has been put into a position where he has been accused of a heinous act. Cole is hurt and embarrassed. Charles has wholly failed to abide by the court's orders, which were specifically designed to keep situations like this from happening. I am seeking extraordinary relief because I feel I must protect my children from what has clearly become an unstable and unhealthy environment in their father's home. Signed, August 22nd, 2008, Cheryl Wheeler.
So it's hard to even.
It's very hard because she's desperately trying to, at first, protect her children from abuse. And now she's trying to protect her children from being accused of abuse.
Right. Right.
And it seems to me that this home is clearly, the Vallow home is clearly showing conflicting signs of whether or not it's healthy and stable. I mean, there's alleged abuse happening all over the place, and Lori's in the middle of it. And Cheryl points out that Lori is making accusations left and right.
Why? So what caused Lori to do this? I mean, we got to get inside this woman's mind. I don't know that I want to get in her mind. She lives through portals and shit and all this crazy nonsense. But
well, okay, there's the obvious. She's a stepmother.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, she's here's the first one that's the most obvious. She's a stepmother. She's a classic Disney evil stepmother. She doesn't want these two other children in her house. She only wants her two children in the house, and to have Charles to herself and not have to share her time there. She'll get Charles on, she'll get him out, and then her kids are the victims, and they're more special.
Well, and you have to wonder. So not only has she's made accusations against two minor children of sexual abuse, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
She's made accusations of sexual abuse against her two children on behalf of Joe Ryan.
Right.
And then there's the whole fact that Charles's kids told their mother, and they physically showed their mother in, text messages that were sent to them. We read that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That there was a provocative picture of Tylee, that they were getting inappropriate messages from Colby.
Right.
And again, I'm going to say this: when you have a cell phone, you can't prove who's on the other end. It's only whose phone it is. So we're not right. But, yeah. I think these are puppet strings to just create chaos and to hurt. And I don't, other than getting his children out of the house and those kids out of his life, no matter what means it took, I can't think of another reason.
This was before JJ was adopted. So But what I guess my question is what drives a woman to jump to sexual abuse allegations and point fingers here and here and here and here? And
Projection, because you're doing it yourself.
that could be one thing. Or are you a victim of abuse?
Have you been?
Was she a victim of sexual abuse? We know that her father was arrested for solicitation of prostitution. Does that make him an abuser? No, it does not make him an abuser. But you have to look at that in context as well. There's
Of course.
this whole case, since we've discovered these documents, there's an underlying sexual tone everywhere, and it's a very heavy tone. It's like every 10 pages you scroll through these documents, there's something said about this kind of stuff.
Right.
So where's it coming from? Why is it being said? And what's going on? I'm not discounting any child that has said they've been abused. I'm not discounting that at all. I do believe there was abuse. I do. I do believe that children were abused. I just don't know.
Well, I think it's more of this. I think here's a woman that pretends or portrays herself to have a healthy view of sexuality, and clearly there's no healthy views of sexuality in this home. We know other things too, but there's constantly within these walls, there's constantly somebody molesting somebody. I mean, it's just a little too much. It all comes from her, and there are very few rational places or few rational reasons why she would do that. It's either she likes chaos, she likes destruction. Maybe she hated Cheryl so much she wanted her sons to be known as deviants. Who knows? Maybe she likes playing the victim. So maybe it's so that her children are victims. Tylee's already experiencing health problems all the time. And yeah, I don't know. There's too many variables because there's too much chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And all the chaos, I'm sorry, all of it starts with her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
a lot to take in.
And if you are told, if you were like, okay, so Charles really, really wants his kids, right?
Right.
And he's told, like, hey, we're going to give you this chance despite everything else going on, right? But kids, if they're not biological brothers and sisters, separate rooms. Gotta be in separate rooms. And what does he allow his wife to do? Invite one of his sons to sleep on a beanbag chair in his stepsister's room? Why would you do that? Why?
I don't know.
And why is Lori up at 2 a.m. supposedly catching them?
Yeah, I don't know. I just know it's all very sad.
It's extremely sad.
I don't know. I wish we had the answers.
And how do you have a healthy relationship with your stepmother after she makes that kind of an accusation? You can't.
Right.
And how do you as a mother, how do you as Cheryl, like her head must have just been spinning off her head. Because I wouldn't want my kids to go back to that house ever again. Right. They're not safe there. They're just not safe. And yeah.
OC Mama said she was pissed because Charles's son ratted Colby out.
Probably. That's a very good possibility.
Retaliation, Glowing Ember said. It leaves you speechless. It does. There's Melissa Seeger said to set him up. And I think the hardest part is that we'll never know the truth.
Right.
I mean, Lori's never going to tell the truth. Charles was murdered.
Lori doesn't know the definition of the truth.
Right. Right. And I had spoken to somebody who was a former child welfare investigator. And I had spoken the other day about this and how I asked how those kind of interviews are done. And this is going back to the Joseph Ryan and Lori case. And it was said to me that when these type of psychosexual interviews are done on children, they are limited to the 3 interviews because those interviews become ingrained in the child's memory. And I'm not saying anybody's lying. I think it is fair for maybe us to do some research on how children's memories are affected by being surrounded by so much chaos and so much abuse. And there was proof of coaching in Lori and Joe's case. There's some relevant questions that need answered. Again, not discounting any child's claims, but I think it's definitely something that we should not discuss tonight, obviously, but maybe look into and see what the chat thinks about that in our Facebook groups and stuff, because it seems that Lori pitted all these children against each other and against other parents. And
Well, in order to have control, you have to create alienation.
right. And when you create alienation and then children are left with one parent and they think that's all they have,
right?
What are they going to do and say?
Well, she's also disrupting. I don't know what the fancy term for it is, but there's no trust with anybody anymore, because once adults start lying and get away with it, and there's other people that know the truth, and like maybe dad goes along with it, maybe he believes it, I don't, maybe Lori's doing something and Charles doesn't believe it's a lie, so he backs her up on it. That's devastating to a child. Absolutely devastating, because I've seen it happen in other families, and I believe Lori did a lot of that because that was her control, and then she could rule by fear. Like, don't cross me, because no matter what I say, your dad's going to believe me. And it's frightening, and that could go much, much, much further. It really could. It could be, don't tell your mother or this is going to happen to you.
Right.
And I don't think Lori is, oh, well, here's a little joke. I don't think they're veiled threats. I think, my goodness. I mean, her views on sex and marriage and everything are, for me, very, very skewed. And I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying it goes to the extent of her saying that she has had sex with an angel, an apparition. I don't, it's just everywhere. It's become part of her religion. It's, I don't know. It's very, very, I think she's a very disturbed person.
Josie Marie is on Facebook commenting and said, without a parental caregiver bond, reaction attachment disorder can occur. 3 out of 4 of my adoptive children are diagnosed. It's sad. And then she went on to say, rad children often make oops, I got the wrong comment up there. I'll get that one though. Rad children often make unsubstantiated claims of physical or sexual abuse.
They do, and I'm very familiar with rad children. I don't think that, I mean, based on what I see here, I don't think Colby falls into that category.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a very, very true statement. Rad children are make very vindictive statements, extremely vindictive statements. They have no boundaries in what they will accuse people of. It's
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Andrea Kay says Lori definitely coached her kids, mentally abused them, emotionally abused them. They were her cash. That woman wouldn't know about love. She doesn't love herself. She loves money and material things. That's actually, I agree with that. And I find it interesting that you point out that she doesn't love herself, because it would appear to some people that she only loves herself. But she took, I mean, she just, anytime she was in a decent situation, and she was in a lot of them, she had a really great lifestyle in a well, it's sad to say, but in a lot of her circumstances. And she just made a mess of them on purpose, or, subconsciously, I should say.
It's, I'd really like to get somebody in that field's perspective on this kind of stuff, because of course we're not certified to say those things, or not certified.
Right.
We can give opinions and
Right.
different experiences that we know of, but
Jacinda says rad children can also be very detached, as they learn quickly to get by without others. Yeah, rad children don't bond, and they they it's just they're very, it takes a very, very special person to work with rad children. They're very challenging because they can't bond, and they don't understand love, and they almost push it away with such force that it's frustrating.
They do. Hippie Chick is me said, does anybody know where Melanie P's dad is today? I bet he has a ton of insight. Yes. And actually, if you go through Melanie and Brandon Boudreaux's different documents, you will see text messages made on behalf of Melanie to her stepmother. I don't know. Sky Blue, you would love to see what Melanie P's dad has to say. Yes, that would be interesting. So these documents, this is only a partial part of them. And then I have another document that I'm just going to post it. You guys can read it yourselves. It'll be public. The other document will be public on Patreon and in the Facebook group as well. And then we will get this posted where it's supposed to go. And we are still going to continue discussing this. Right, Amy? Because we are going to come
Definitely.
up with, yeah, we are going to be here on Sunday discussing things. I think maybe put together some dates and stuff and look at some corresponding dates. And
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Put it together so that we can see it in real time as it's happening. Yeah, because these people spent a lot of time in court.
Yes, a lot. And a lot of money on attorneys and therapists and evaluations and therapy, and you name it, it was spent.
Surveillance cameras. Right.
Surveillance cameras. So there's a lot, and there's still, the other pages that we have, the other document that we have, we still have more to release out of that as well, because when you read it, it just, honestly, this sucks the life out of you. My heart goes out to everybody who had to live it.
Definitely. So I think, it's a lot of information to digest. I'd like you guys to let us know in the comments what you find most interesting and why. Maybe does it change your view of the case? And if so, like how? I want to thank you all for supporting us, especially this week. It's been rough. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you to our moderators, and we always do call them the Bomb Squad, and our amazing team behind the scenes. And if you'd like to email us, please do. It's wickedtruths@wtaf.net. And you may find our social media links and other ways to support us and our Facebook group links in the description of this video.
Yes, and one final note, if you haven't already, and you guys could do us a huge favor, it's not really for us, it's for another victim in a different case. Please take a moment to view our videos on Taylor McAllister. She has a playlist on our channel. We have an interview with her parents that we did a couple weeks ago, and we are breaking that case down. Taylor was murdered on December 22nd, 2016. She was left unclothed, staged, and ran over post-mortem in an alley in St. Petersburg, Florida. There are plenty of suspects. There is evidence. There is DNA that was on her neck with handprints and under her fingernails. Taylor's cause of death was asphyxiation. There are people that need to be held accountable because money is talking in this case, it appears. And Taylor McAllister deserves justice. We are committed 100% to helping her parents, Bill and Leslie McAllister. You can find them on Facebook as well. They are public. They have everything posted, and we have a group on Taylor as well that we share everything. But we are committed to helping her parents get their daughter's case out to the public and get their day in court. On that note, guys, good night. Thank you. WTF is signing off, and we'll talk to you guys all later. Bye, guys.